Namaskar. We are covering the most important questions that might be asked in the upcoming UPSC PT examination 2021. And in this series, we will be discussing about the strategic importance of Port Dhakam, situated in Oman, Furza B Gas Field, and Indo-Iran relationship with coverage of all important locations. The type of question that might be asked are: number 1, which of the following port in Arabian Sea is a naval base for India? A. Gwadar Port, B. Djibouti, C. Dhaka Port Oman, D. Muscat in Oman. B. Bedouin tribes are found in A. Dhaka Villa, B. Central Asia, C. Iran, D. Iraq. Third question could be: Dhaka Port is located at A. Strait of Hormuz, B. Strait of Suez, C. Gulf of Aqaba, D. None of above. Fourth question can be: consider the following statement in respect to Port Dhakam and mark the incorrect statement. A. Port Dhakam faces an open sea and have easy access to Gulf of Persia and Indian Ocean. B. It is located close to China's post base at Gwadar. C. It is not a major economic or military power. D. All of the above is correct. 5. CENTCOM prime objective is A. To protect developmental project in Central Asia, B. To check terrorism in Central Asia, C. To protect the interest of US allies and to check the growth of the extremist organization in Central Asian region, D. To negotiate the price of the crude oil with Middle East countries. Sixth question can be: which of the following is incorrect about Furza B Gas Field? A. It is located in Persian Gulf and comes under Saudi Arabia. B. India will develop Farzadi B Gas Field with Hindustan Petroleum. C. Indian project of building rail link from Jahedang to Farzadi B Gas Field will help him get in energy security. D. All of the statements are correct. E. All the above are incorrect. 7 question can be: consider the correct statement about Indo-Iran relationship. A. Recently, India have stopped purchasing Iranian oil after Iran announcement to develop Farzadi B Gas Field of its own. B. India was Iran's first oil importer. C. Iran has halted INSTC project for India's recently. D. China is unable to impact Iran against India through its BRI project. E. All of the above statements are incorrect. We will be answering this question at the end of this video. Let's go through the topic and we will find answer to all the questions above mentioned. So to start with, let's have a look of the location of Dhaka Port Oman and let's know that why is it in the news. India secured access to Port Dhakam on Oman's southwest seaboard. This is Oman and this is the Port Dhakam. On the Omans, to the Omans it is south and then it is the eastern boundary. So southeast board that is ideally suited between two other Chinese strategic ports. And those ports are: one port is the Gwadar Port. We have already covered the Gwadar Port in Pakistan in the Makran coast. And the second one is at Djibouti. We have covered in a previous video about the location of Djibouti as well on the Horn of Africa. So that is why the Port Dhakam was in news. Moving towards the next, let's have a detailed analysis of the other locations that are important along with Dhakam. But to start with, this is Oman and to this area to the southern and eastern boundary, this is Port Dhakam. Sometimes it is named as Al Dhakam, Port Al Dhakam. So Dhakam or Al Dhakam port is the same port. This is the situation of the Muscat. Muscat is the capital of Oman and just for an information that Muscat is situated on the Gulf of Oman, on the tip of Gulf of Oman, and Gulf of Oman is a part of Arabian Sea. So these are some of the related information that might be helpful for your examination. And on the tip of it, this area, this part, this is also the part and territory of Oman. Remember, this tip is also the part of Oman, and this tip is known as Musandam. So Musandam is also part of Oman, which is situated at the tip of the Strait of Hormuz. Here is a Strait of Hormuz. We will be looking at this location in ahead video. And this Strait of Hormuz connects the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Therefore, the Al Dhakam port location is important because it has access directly to the Gulf of Oman and then through the Strait of Hormuz to the Arabian Gulf. And therefore, for the oil import from these Gulf countries, very important to India for its oil and energy security, the access to the Dhakam port has become important for India. Apart from that, in this map, you can say that this is the location of Port Dhakam and it is situated in Al Wusta province. This province is Al Wusta province in Oman. So this is another important question. Apart from that, this province is the Dhofar province, and in Dhofar province, this location Salalah is also important for location point of view because US has the access to the Salalah port, and even recently US has signed a pact with Oman to have access of the Dhakam port as well. So India's presence and access to the Dhakam ports become also important. In our next video, we will be covering separately about the Masira Island. So stay tuned with us. We will be covering the others location. So why exactly this port location is so important to India? Let's have a look at that. Geographical location on the map, which is the Dhakam port situated out of the Strait of Hormuz in the middle of the Indian Ocean, opening directly into international waters and lies in the vicinity of international trade route. And this international trade route connects Asia, Europe as well as Africa. So it will give access to India, to Asia, Europe and Africa. Oman joined the Belt and Road Initiative in 2018. This BRI initiative is of China to connect the various countries through the making of a Belt of Roads initiative, thereby acquiring additional importance as Chinese first base station in the Gulf. So here already Chinese presence is there, then the American presence is there, so access to India is important in this respect. In March 2019, the United States signed an agreement with the Oman to allow US military access to Oman facilities and ports in Dhakam and Salalah. So in earlier slide, we have covered the location of Salalah and Dhakam as well. Moving towards the next, have once the clear location of Dhakam. This is the Port Dhakam or Al Dhakam port, or to the south of Al Dhakam port, this location is the Salalah. And even the US has signed a pact with Oman to access the facility of both these locations. And these all locations are important because they can have direct access to the Arabian Sea and therefore an access to the Gulf of Oman through the Strait of Hormuz to the Persian Gulf. And then the side-by countries like the Iran and Pakistan is also situated nearby. So it has a direct watch and an access to Iran. And here in this our map, here is the Chabahar port located, which we have discussed in our earlier video, and we will be discussing in this video as well for the importance and access. And here is the Chinese port Gwadar situated of Pakistan. So to the access of the Dhakam port for India has become very important in a way where connectivity is needed for India to enhance its power across the world. Recently, China-Oman, that means an Dhakam Industrial Park, a mega project under the BRI that is nearing its first phase of completion, is evident of China's interest in developing Dhakam with the view to link several countries with the logistic and infrastructure built with Chinese investment. So China is even spreading its legs and hands across the Gulf countries. Moving towards the next aspects, do you know that who are the people exactly who live in this area of Port Oman in Dhaka? So until recently, when this all international players started giving attention to Port Dhakam. Dhakam was a dusty fishing village and it was inhabited by a tribe called Bedouin tribes. So let's have a look and some facts about the Bedouin tribes. Bedouin tribes are mainly found in the Arabia Peninsula and in Arabia Desert. So they are the original inhabitants of Arabia Deserts, and they are in Port Oman, in Dhaka port. They especially comes under the Wusta Governorate in the Wusta province. We have already marked this location on the first slide about Wustan province, and this city lies just nearly 450 kilometers to the south of the Muscat, which is the capital of Oman. Apart from that, in this image you can see this special kind of colony of a tent. So Bedouins mainly stay in a tent and they are known as the people of tent. People of tent. So this can be a question asked that which tribe is known as people of tent. So answer would be Bedouin tribes. They are mainly found in the peninsula of Arabia. But apart from that, they have migrated from Arabia to the other place like Egypt and Syria as well. So presently they are found in Arabia Peninsula as well as Egypt and Syria. Traditionally, they have been a pastoral groups. So they are pastoral, that means they usually use camels for their navigation, and camels are their main herds and they are considered to be the shepherd. Since this desert land gives them immense number of hardship, that is why they move from one place to another place and they move in a caravan of 10 in search of the fodder and water. Fodder and water, they move from one place to other. So they are a kind of a semi-nomad people as well. And they were known for their hospitality and for their distinct look as a pirates of the Arabian desert. But these people have a very distinct feature. They believe that in whatso area they are residing, suppose the Bedouin tribes are residing in this area, they believe that they own this territory, and whosoever is crossing this, they must pay something to them. If they did not pay, they used to attack to that people, and that is why the piracy, the main pirates in the Gulf nations come from this tribe because they are traditionally trained into it. But there is one interesting fact about them. If they look that the person in front is more powerful and having weapons, they do not strike on them. So they are clever. They only attack those who are weaker to them. So this is an information, and genetically and race-wise, the Bedouin tribes are Hamitic Negroid people. So this is another information. The question can be asked, which race the Bedouin tribes belongs to? So they belongs to Hamitic Negroid race. So these are the brief information about the Bedouin tribes, their residence, their livelihood, and they known as the people of the tent. So hope you are enjoying this information, and this may be informative as well as useful for any examination that you think that you are going to appear with. So now, what are the factors that work in favor of India in the matter of the Port Dhakam? So number one factor is the location of the Dhakam port. Dhakam is not based in a landlocked country. It faces an open sea. You can see in this image that it is not landlocked. It has a direct access to open sea. The port faces an open sea. It provides easy access to crucial waterways of the Persian Gulf and the Indian Ocean, and it is located close to the Chinese port base at Gwadar. So that is why the location of the port is important, and that works in favor of India. The other factor, the second factor that works in this favor is Oman's economic power. Oman is not, mark it, it is not a major economic or military power, and that helps Oman to tilt towards the Indian favor and to be a good friend of India. The third factor is the historical good relationship with Oman. So India has had probably the longest historical relationship with Oman and very strong political ties since very long in the past. So these all factor the location, low economic development of Oman and the historical long relationship with Oman to India is the favoring factor for us. The port sits at the northwesternmost tip of the Indian Ocean, providing access to East Africa as well and also to the Red Sea. We have already covered the location of the Red Sea via the Gulf of Aden, and the Gulf of Aden in our previous video. If you are not aware of this location, you can go back and check out those videos based on Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. It is a deep sea port. So Port Dhakam is a deep sea port and nearly 18-meter deep with a dry dock facility and comes under special economic zone at Dhaka, and this says is being developed by China in this area. The port is situated in the Al-Bustan province where habitation is very less, and this is favoring for India as well compared to the areas near to the capital Muscat. It has only been a few years since the coastal town has been identified as a potential economic zone, and there have been rapid developments in Dhaka due to its economic as well as the strategic significance to the other country for the connectivity purpose. Moving next, let's have the other facts related with the strategic port in the Arabian Sea, that is the Dhaka port. With the signing of the Maritime Pact between India and Oman in 2008, when India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Muscat, the Indian Navy can now use the port, mind it, use the port for logistics as well as the other supports like refilling, with an eye on sustaining long-term operation in the region. This would also assist in keeping a check on the piracy issues in the Eastern African coast as well, and that can help in preventing our cargo ships from these pirates. The usage of the port for military related purposes would enhance India's strategic outlook in the region, given that it has already been able to access Chabahar port for its development and further trade connectivity in Iran. So this will be the second port in this regime to have the major connectivity and access to the Saudi Arabia and to the Gulf and even to the Red Sea. However, with China already gaining entry into Iran with various policies and pact signs that we will be discussing ahead, it is crucial in India's point of view to have access to another port in the region, and especially one with a military use, and this is where the Dhaka fits in. For India, the development of the Chabahar port in Iran has been in the scheme of things for some time, whereas the Dhaka port is another strategically located port overseeing the coast of Oman in the Arabian Sea, which might meet its requirement to access and to have the security for the Indian Ocean. India's gain in accessing the Dhaka port is a vital asset in enhancing the port's strategy positioning abroad. So it is a part of the India's ports abroad policy and for the broader interest of the safeguard of its regional security and to curtail the vulnerability in the region. In this map again, let's have the precise location of the important locations and places. This is Oman, and in Oman this is Muscat, this is Dhaka, this is Salalah. These all locations are important. Here in this map you can clearly see that through Port Dhakam we can access to the Persian Gulf, we can access to the Red Sea and then to the Suez Canal and then towards Mediterranean Sea. This is Djibouti. Djibouti has a base of China. So from this port we can have a watch to the Chinese port Djibouti as well, that what the other activities that is China going to drill out in those regions. Apart from that, this is the Chabahar port, and already India is developing Chabahar port with the help of Iran, and this is situated in Iran. So Port Dhakam can have an alternate and support to the Chabahar port for India. This is Gwadar port of Pakistan, and this is being developed by China. So India with access to the Dhaka port can even have a watch to the Gwadar port. In future, in case we have not a good tie with Iran, so at least we will be having one good port at Dhaka, because Oman is not economically and military wise powerful, so we can still access the Dhaka port and we can have the watch at Salalah, at Djibouti, at Gwadar port, and even at this area of the Persian Gulf, and even across this area of the Indian Ocean and the part of Arabia Sea. So now hopefully you understand the importance, the strategic importance of Dhaka port to India. Apart from this strategic importance, there is one major importance that this map explains. It helps in trade and immense international trade. This is Port Dhakam, and from Port Dhakam we can access to Red Sea and then Suez Canal and then towards Mediterranean Sea. From there, this is the East Africa, this is the Horn of Africa, and we can access to the African countries for trade purposes. From here we can access the Chabahar port as well in Iran. So we can go through there. From here we can go to the Gulf of Persia and we can have a better relationship with the Gulf nations, and oil and gas transportation to Port Dhakam, and then from Port Dhakam we can easily access, this is the Mumbai, and then in Gujarat, Kandla, and then Ahmedabad and so forth. And from here we can, from this port we can go to the New Delhi as well. So we can develop, in case we are not having a good relation with Iran and we lost the Chabahar port, in case in future, still we will have an alternate route of trade and connectivity through this port. So that is the main importance of the Dhaka port economically to India. When we are covering the major locations, we must be having an eye of the other nearby important locations that can be asked in examination. So to the Port Dhakam, there are some nearby important locations, like the number one is Gulf of Oman. So this is the Gulf of Oman. The country is Oman, so the water bodies nearby the country is named after that country or province or state. So this is the Gulf of Oman, and Gulf of Oman connects to the Persian Gulf in the north, and this connects to the Persian Gulf through a strait which is known as a Strait of Hormuz. We will be covering differently the Strait of Hormuz in the slides again, but just for information and an integrated understanding of the things, that Gulf of Oman connects to the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz, and this part is also a part of Oman, which we already have discussed before. So Gulf of Oman connects Arabian Sea, because Gulf of Oman is a part of Arabian Sea, so it's connect Arabian Sea to the Persian Gulf. One of the main trade route for the oil producing countries such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, Bahrain and Qatar. Nearby countries are Oman, UAE, this is the location of the UAE, so it's nearby UAE, Pakistan is in this side, and then in Iran, this is Iran. So the location of the Gulf of Oman is important because it has access to all these major oil importing countries. The Strait of Hormuz is the next one. Let's have first the location of Strait of Hormuz. This is Oman that we are covering. This is Gulf of Oman that just we have finished, and on the tip of this is Strait of Hormuz, which connects the Persian Gulf. So this is the exact location of Strait of Hormuz. So Strait of Hormuz connects Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman and ultimately Arabian Sea. So question can be asked, the Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf or Indian Ocean. So it will be correct because ultimately the Gulf of Oman is a part of Indian Ocean and Arabian Sea. In this map, this is an enlarged map, you can see that in the Strait of Hormuz, it also connects Iran city Bandar Abbas. So Bandar Abbas is important because there is one pipeline which is coming to India, a part of a pipeline, Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline, on which through the Persian Gulf on this area there is a pipeline crossing the Bandar Abbas and coming towards India. So this is also important location, and Bandar Abbas is located at the tip of Strait of Hormuz and it is a city of Iran. Another information that the Strait of Hormuz is bounded by Bandar Abbas, true. And in this area, Musandam also is a true, and Musandam comes under the power of Oman. So these are few information that might be asked in examination in related to the Strait of Hormuz. And there are some few points that it provides the only sea passage from the Persian Gulf to the open Indian Ocean and is one of the world's most strategically important choke point. On the northern coast lies Iran. This is Iran, which is lying on the northern side of the Strait of Hormuz, and on the southern coast lies the UAE, United Arab Emirates. This is the location of United Arab Emirates. So this is on the south and this is on the north, and this is true. And Musandam, an exclave of Oman. So this is the location of Musandam and it is an exclave of Oman that we already have discussed. These are some other information about the Strait of Hormuz just for a revision purpose. It is approximately 33 km wide with shipping length just 3 km wide on both the sides. It connects Gulf countries, and the Gulf country includes Iran, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia to the Indian Ocean. The Strait of Hormuz plays a vital geopolitical role to the point where the US 5th Fleet guards this strait. So even there is a presence of the US Army. But during the recent days, Iran has threatened the safe passage of oil tankers. And why Iran is doing so? In this strait, in response to the crippling unilateral sanction that is placed on its economy by the Trump administration due to the nuclear projects of Iran in this area. And that is why the Strait of Hormuz was also in the news recently. Background of the attack is that ongoing sanction on Iran by the US due to the withdrawal of the US from the JCPO. JCPO stands for Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and this is related with the Iran's nuclear deal, and recently the US has withdrawn from this. There is also tension escalating in the Persian Gulf between the Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is being backed by the US and other Western nations, and between Iran, and Iran is backed by Russia and China. Here in this aspect, the India is taking a silent note in this matter. Whereas if India wants to have a close relation with Iran, India will have to talk from the side of Iran so that we can have all the access to the ports and resources of Iran, since India and Iran have a very good relationship in the history. And now onward, we will be discussing about the various aspects of Indo-Iran relationship in the same slide as well. But before that, USCENTCOM, this is a body by the US Central Command and its Premium War Fighting Combat Command. Actually, if you have some knowledge, then you can understand the US has set some commands in the entire one, like the US North Command, US South Command, US African Command, US EUCOM European Command, US Pacific Command, and this is the part of US Central Command, which is known as the CENTCOM, Central Command of US, and this is deployed in the central region of Asia to protect the interest of US and its ally and to check the growth of extremist organization from this region. So in the part of that, the US has made their presence in various base camp. One of the base camp is at Djibouti, another is in Jordan, then there is one in Iraq, there one is Kuwait, and there was one at the Kabul camp on Afghanistan. There is another one at the Uzbekistan. They have even one in Turkey and one in Georgia, and these are the training camps as well as the camp to have a watch on this area. So even the Port Dhakam here, the Chabahar port, the Gwadar port here, then in this Djibouti, here is Djibouti. So all these areas come under the USCENTCOM. Moving towards the Indo-Iran relationship, the first in this series is to discuss about the Furza B Gas Field, We have already shared the location of this gas field prior also in our video, but just for a revision, this area we have enlarged here, and this is Iran, this is the Gulf of Persia or the Persian Gulf we have talked about, and in the Persian Gulf, this is the location of Furza B Gas Field. And here again you can see clearly that in this image, this is the location of Furza B Gas Field, and it comes under Iran, and Iran is owing that. All the green color marks, these all green color marks are of oil reserves, and the red color marks are the marks for the gas presence in Iran and in Persian Gulf. So this is the gas field which is located in Persian Gulf under the control of Iranian sovereignty, and India is processing on acquisition and exploration of this gas field. Here it is a view and a timeline for India regarding the Chabahar and Furza B Gas Field. In 2002, a consortium of ONGC, Videsh, Indian Oil Corporation and Oil India, these three companies together signed a contract for carrying out exploration at the Furza B block. In 2003, former PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee and then Iran President Saeed Mohammad Khatami signed a deal to develop Chabahar Port Complex and Chabahar-Farzan-Bam Railway Link. And then in June 2009, Furza B contract get expire. In 2015, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari signed an MOU with Iran. And then in 2016 again, PM Narendra Modi visited Tehran, discussed Chabahar and Furza with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. In 2017, Rouhani inaugurates the first phase of the Chabahar port. So the Chabahar port is in operation since 2017. In 2018, Iran and India signed pact worth $2 billion for cooperation in developing rail networks in Iran, which are the larger part of the connectivity plan in the world. In 2018, Iran signed agreement to lease the operational control of Chabahar port to India, but there too some changes in the policies of the global politics. In 2020, Iran shows the door to India in both Chabahar and Furza project, and now almost we have lost the Furza B gas field contract from Iran. About the Furza B gas field, it is located in the Persian Gulf of Iran. The contract for exploration of the field was signed in 2002 by Indian consortium comprising ONGC Videsh, Indian Oil Corporation and Oil India. The contract expired in 2009 after declaration of commerciality of the field based on the gas discovery. So there was not any consensus between Iran and this consortium about how to develop commerciality of this field, and therefore the delay happens. It has gas reserve minded of more than 90 trillion cubic feet. ONGC has invested approximately $100 million. But just after this much of investment, what happened that the America sanctioned Iran, and after this ban, the Indian progress to talk to Iran on this issue get a halt, and India were silent and apprehensive, because India was in the view that if it have a good relationship with Iran, then we might lose US on our side, and that get a negative impact to the Iranian government from Indian side. Since 2003, the consortium has been trying to secure the contract for development of the field. The major dispute between India and the Iran was over setting up of two pipelines and also over money to be quoted on the development plan. And about 75% of the deal was finalized by the May 2018 when the US unilaterally withdraw from the nuclear deal and announced sanctions on Iran. In January 2020, India was informed that in the immediate future, Iran would develop single-handedly the field, operation of the field in the Furza field, and would like to involve India approximately at the later stage. Just after this statement from Iran to India, the China started dealing with the Iranian government, and then it started doing business with Iran. Indian merchants after this announcement have almost entirely stopped signing any new export contracts with Iranian buyers due to the cause that Iran's falling rupees reserve with Indian banks. So then now you can imagine then the Indo-Iran relationship is in a doldrum situation, but still we have not lost it again. And then this is the location of the Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman. There were one railway link from Jahedang. It was supposed to be developed by India and Iran. And now in 2020, Iran dropped the India's US dollar 2 billion offer and decided to build the Chabahar rail link, which connects the Chabahar and Jahedang. This is Chabahar, and this is Jahedang railway line again on its own. So these are not very good news to India in perspective of the Indo-Iran relationship. So what are the concerns for India regarding this thing? Growing influence of China is the major concern for India at present. In April 2021, China and Iran signed a 25-year strategic cooperation pact, and in this strategic cooperation pact, they signed a cooperation for political, economical as well as cultural pact. So these all aspects have been included in this 25 years strategic cooperation pact. China is also concluding a security and military partnership with Iran, and this is not at all a good sign to India. The China-Iran strategic partnership may be an impediment for India's entry route into Afghanistan through Chabahar and further connectivity to International North-South Transport Corridor (INSTC). This is in the map from St. Petersburg to Moscow, then Astrakhan, then crossing the Caspian Sea. This is Caspian Sea. Caspian Sea in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is in Central Asian country, and then coming to Iran, and in Iran it will cover the Bandar Abbas, which is at the tip of Strait of Hormuz, and then it will come to India, Mumbai. So this is a part of the International North-South Transport Corridor, and it will give access to India to this location directly and then towards the Europe also. Earlier this route was followed by Arabian Sea, then crossing to the Red Sea, then moving to Mediterranean, and then crossing this, then going to the North Sea, and then entering into Europe. So this long distance was cut by this INSTC. So India has now apprehension that with the more influence of China in Iran, and there are increasing strategic partnership between the two countries, may halt the Indian North-South Transport Corridor project. But Iran has not given, till now, it has not given any signals of disruption of this project at least. Further, Iran seems to be skeptical of India's diplomatic ties with US. So here India need to have a clear-cut view, and it should make clear to Iran that how it is thinking to proceed its friendship with Iran in future. The other future concern for India is India's energy security. Since India is the second largest, mind is the first largest oil importer from Iran is China. The second one is India, is the importer of Iranian oil. But India has stopped purchasing Iranian oil, which accounts for around 90% of its import from the Islamic nation. India was Iran's leading oil client after China. China was the first one, and secondly, India was the second importer until mid 2018. But after 2018, the import has been declined. India needs gas, and Iran remains one of the best options, as geographically Iran is closest to India of all the countries in the Persian Gulf region. So strategically, it is good for us that we remain friendly to Iran. Further, the Furza B Gas Field could have improved Indian-Iran tie, as the crude oil import from Iran remains impacted due to the US sanction. Another concern in this aspect is India's role in the region. Maintaining ties with Iran, even as it forged a new relationship with Saudi Arabia and Israel, is critical for India's balancing policy in the West Asia. So, even if we are developing some relationship with the other countries like Israel and Saudi Arabia, we have to keep Iran as our friend as a policy of our look West Asia. And the other important concern is connectivity to the Central Asia. Chabahar is not only a key to maritime relationship between both the countries, but also provides an opportunity to India to reach Russia and Central Asia, and on this ground we cannot compromise at all. Further, it allows India to bypass Pakistan, which had blocked Indian aid to Afghanistan and all trade over the land. So, in a situation where we have an enemy like Pakistan as a neighbor, our relationship with the Iran and the access to the Chabahar port, and therefore the connectivity through Russia and Central Asia through the international north-south corridor is important to us, not only for economic purposes but also for the geopolitical mileage. Apart from that, in those regions, a peaceful Afghanistan is also a concern for India, and India need a peaceful Afghanistan. India having made significant investment in Afghanistan. Detail of the Afghanistan-India relation and the investment we have done in a separate section of Bagram place. So you can go and watch those videos for detailed information. Will always help for an Afghan-elected, Afghan-led, Afghan-owned peace reconciliation process, and is a popular democratic government in the Afghanistan instead of a government being dominated by Taliban. However, India has to be watchful of Iran, Pakistan and China axis developing in the neighborhood of Afghanistan with tentacles in the form of terror groups inside it. If you can see here in this map that from the city of Asaluye is also important, and this is situated in Iran. From Asaluye coming to the Bandar Abbas, then Iran Shahar, and then in the area of Pakistan here, and then we have a pipeline to New Delhi. So these pipeline were supposed to be developed from Iran Pakistan India pipeline, which is known as IPI. So this pipeline was being developed, and this start from the Asaluye. Asaluye is a city in Iran to explore the Persian Gulf oil and gas reserve. So if we don't have a good relation with Pakistan, if we don't have a good relation with Iran, then this pipeline project may get an halt. Apart from that, in the Central Asia, from Turkmenistan to Kandahar to Quebec to Mulan to Fazila, there is another pipeline. In this, we were planning to have a pipeline for Turkmenistan to New Delhi and India, which is known as a Tapi pipeline also. So these all projects will get an halt if we have not a good relation with Iran. So Iran is critical for us, for our own energy security, as well as to have an access to Central Asia, and a peaceful Afghanistan can play a major role into that. So what is the way forward? India is highly reliant upon Middle East oil and gas and must maintain cordial relation with most of the major suppliers including Iran, UAE, Qatar and Saudi Arabia as well as Iraq. India needs to play a balancing act between the US and Iran at this time. In a world where connectivity is seen as the new currency, India's loss on account of this project can become gain for some other countries, especially China. So again, to have a overview of this thing that we have studied together, in Oman we start with the Port Dhakam here, and then we move to the Chabahar port in Iran, the importance of Iran to India through the north-south international corridor to India, for the gas pipeline for Asaluye in Iran through the Pakistan to India. So these pipelines are important. This corridor, all location along these corridors are important. Then from Oman to access to the Red Sea, and then to the Persian Gulf, to the watch the Arabian Sea. These all locations are important. and hope you enjoy this video till date. These are the wide range of references that we have used during making this presentation and bringing all the information from different sources, and this is highly relevant to that. Now it is a time to give you the answer of the question that had been asked at the beginning. So start with question number 1. Which of the following port in Arabia Sea is a naval base for India? The option will be C. Dhaka Port Oman. Apart from that, Gwadar Port, Djibouti, these are being dominated by China, and Muscat in Oman was not in any ways important either for China as of now or as of India. Second question was Bedouin tribes are found in, and the answer would be the I already explained in this video that Saudi Arabia is dominated by the Bedouin tribes and the Dhakam is a part of that. So A, Dhakam village will be the answer. Dhakam port is located at, the answer will be A, Strait of Hormuz. 4. Consider the following statement in respect to Port Dhakam and mark the incorrect statement. A was Port Dhakam faces an open sea and have easy access to Gulf of Persia and Indian Ocean. This is true. B was it is located close to China's port bases Gwadar. This is also true. C, it is not a major economic military power. This is also true. So D will be the answer. All of the above is correct. None of the statement is wrong. 5. CENTCOM prime objective is, answer will be C, to protect the interest of US allies and to check the growth of extremist organization in Central Asian region. 6th question, which of the following are incorrect about Farzadi B Gas Field? A option was it is located in Persian Gulf and comes under Saudi Arabia. This is false. It comes under Iran. B, India will develop Farzadi B Gas Field with Hindustan Petroleum. No, it is wrong. It is developed by ONGC Videsh, OVL and Oil India. So all of these 3 statements are wrong. So answer will be E. All the above are incorrect. 7th question, consider the correct statement about Indo-Iran relationship. Answer will be A. Recently, India have stopped purchasing Iranian oil after Iran announcement to develop Farzadi B Gas Field of its own. So hope you enjoyed this video. We will be taking up the another current location in this respect is Masira Island. Thank you. We will be considering you that we see you there in our next video. Subscribe the Ensemble Ias YouTube channel for your civil service preparation. Namaskar.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.